So yeah, this is really dependent upon individual situations, and there's all sorts of transactions that we're going to have to process and tag, etc. in Koinly. So I'm just really going to try to burn through the basic skills that you're going to utilize when using Koinly. So first of all, it's very important to add all of your wallets. I've had several clients where I'm helping them with Koinly and we're missing data. So you have to do a bunch of detective work and find all of your different accounts, whether blockchain accounts, exchange accounts. Otherwise, you're going to have data in Koinly that Koinly doesn't understand. So it's really important to sync all of your wallets. For example, this is just one of my accounts associated with my seed phrase on my ledger. I call it Ledger 4. But I have assets on Ethereum mainnet, on Arbitrum, on Base, even on the old school BNB or Binance Smart Chain. So I've synced all of those blockchains. And just let me go back to this slide. What I recommend when you're adding your wallets, you go into the Add Wallet screen, filter it by blockchain. Most of our accounts are going to be blockchain related. You're going to have a couple of exchange accounts, which you can get with that filter, but use this blockchains filter as a starting point, and then select your preferred blockchain, and then paste in your address. As far as a naming convention, this is just a preference thing, but what I like to do, since this is the same address across 4 different blockchains, I put an abbreviation of the blockchain and then like the last 4 or 5 letters and numbers of my address. So you can see this is all the same account number or address, but it's just different blockchains. That helps when you're looking at a bunch of data, instantly which blockchain this transaction occurred on. As far as filtering, it's very useful to be able to filter by the wallet or whatever account. I like to filter by dates, including sometimes you want to look at just one single day. It's a little bit tricky in Koinly. What you have to do is it's looking for a range of dates. And so if you just want to look at one single day, what you end up doing is clicking on that date and then clicking on that date a second time. And then you can see right there, it'll give you the range of dates that you're going to filter by. Another friendly tip is to drop down this view menu, and then you can view up to 100 transactions per page. That helps as you're kind of being able to scroll through many, many transactions without having to click on the next page, next page, next page button at the bottom of the screen. So just a little tip. There are 2 basic types of transactions. When you're talking about the raw data that Koinly imports from the blockchain, there's really only 2 things that can happen with each of your blockchain accounts. You can have some kind of token or coin deposited into that account, or some coin or token sent from the account. So these are the 2, that's it. There's deposits and there are sends. Now, Koinly is smart enough to automatically tag or group certain transactions together. For example, this cost originally started out as a raw, in the raw data format, it was just my wallet sent that amount of ETH to somewhere, okay? It didn't go to one of my other accounts. It was just, hey, you sent some ETH from your wallet to somewhere else. But Koinly automatically tagged that as a cost. It recognizes that as a gas fee. So that will happen automatically. Similarly, if you've done a good job of syncing all of your different accounts, here's an example of where I sent 0.01 ETH from one account to a different account. So that would have looked like in the raw data form, it would have been 1 send from this account and 1 deposit in this account. Koinly automatically grouped those 2 transactions together. I didn't have to do a thing. It automatically realized that it was a transfer from one account to another. It even factored in the fact that I spent, 0.00001758 as a gas fee. in order to send that 0.01 ETH from this account to that account. And so it even tracked that the fact that I spent money transferring those coins from one account to another. Another way that Koinly will automatically group transactions together is called an exchange. So this isn't a tag. This is a tag where it's a cost of you doing business. You have to pay gas fees. That's a cost. This is just a send and a deposit and possibly a gas fee all merged into one. So it could be, it's usually going to be 2 or 3 transactions where some coins were sent, some coins were deposited, and there was also usually a gas fee associated. Koinly is going to, again, automatically merge all 3 of those transactions into a single exchange transaction. Now, what's the whole point of Koinly? We're trying to, at the end of the year, we want to know what was our capital gain, what was our total capital gain or loss, hopefully a gain. We also want to know what was our income. So we get fees from our LP positions. That would go into the income bucket. So with respect to capital gains, you can see here's a couple of exchanges. So this is an example of when I spent half an ETH to buy some virtual. And then about a month later, I sold some of my virtual for USDC. So with this original exchange, notice the cost basis of this half of an ETH. I don't remember when I bought the ETH. The point is Koinly takes care of that. Koinly keeps track of my cost basis for this half of an ETH plus the gas fee that I spent buying virtual. So one thing that's happening here is the $1,221.22 that I spent buying this half an ETH, whether it was last month or a year ago, whatever, I'm then exchanging that ETH for $1,270.02 worth of virtual. So notice Koinly has calculated a capital gain on this half of an ETH. The other thing that's happening here is Koinly is realizing that I bought 5,324 virtual tokens for a cost of $1,270.02. So this is, Koinly is tracking from this point forward, this is my cost basis. So I'm having a capital gain here, but I'm also recording, or Koinly is recording my cost basis. Now later on, when I sold 1,200 of those 5,300 coins, it realized that my cost basis baked into those virtual coins was $286.28. I sold it for $875 worth of USDC. So there's my capital gain. The other form or common form of capital gain, this is kind of interesting. I just threw this in as an example. The other day I withdrew some random NFTs that were in my Kraken account, and I needed to buy some Matic in order to pay the withdrawal fee to withdraw those NFTs out to the Polygon network. You can see I haven't done anything with Matic for more than a year. And so when I spent 2 cents worth of Matic to withdraw those NFTs, it tracked a capital loss. I had originally spent, back in 2023, I had originally spent 6 cents buying this amount of Matic, but then I only got $2 or 2 cents worth of value when I spent that Matic. So when you spend coins, that's also considered a disposal of those assets, and it carries with it a capital gain or a loss potential.
Brandon, I love this, man, because what you can do with this after you've gone through and reconciled your books is you can take reports from Koinly and import them into QuickBooks. That's pretty darn cool. I really like what you're presenting here, Brandon, and this is extremely valuable for me, and I'm sure for everyone else in the group. We've just run out of time, and
Yeah.
I want to share.
I was afraid
I
of
know,
that.
I know. Look, I wanted to see what we could get through in 10 minutes. This is great, man. I really like this stuff. We need to put out more content around, tracking using Koinly, tracking using Awaken. Maybe even we could take a look at CoinStats or CoinLedger or Zen Ledger.